Hello and welcome to Katie's Business Tips. Glad to be with you. Michael Lapete here, and we are talking about bookkeeping right now, specifically doing bookkeeping yourself. Now, I could do a whole course on this. I could teach you how to do bookkeeping from scratch. Obviously, we'd need a whole video series, probably have its own YouTube channel. But I want to go through some of the pros and cons of doing bookkeeping yourself and what that looks like. Because when you're doing it yourself, you have to make sure you keep up with it regularly, like I said in the last video. Now, some of the pros and benefits, the biggest one is obviously cost, because you're now saving a cost, but you have to weigh that out with your time. And what's more valuable, your cost, your time or your money? And it really depends how much time you have. If you're sitting around twiddling your thumbs watching TV or sitting on the computer and surfing the internet or whatever it is, playing video games, then you probably have time, okay? But if you're busy working and you could be going to make money elsewhere instead of doing the bookkeeping, well, then you have to consider that. But the main reason why people do it themselves is typically because it saves money. That's the majority of the reason. Not for everybody, but the majority. The second thing that I think is a benefit of doing it yourself, especially at the beginning when you first start out, it's a good thing to do it yourself, a good time to do it yourself as well, is that you now know where things are at on a regular basis. You could be doing it weekly, monthly, regularly. You're right on top of it. You can look at your numbers. You can see your reports a little faster than if you hand it off to someone else and then wait for the reports to come back, obviously. And you're more hands-on. So you're more looking at what's really going on. So that is another benefit, obviously. And the third thing that is a benefit is you now understand what bookkeeping takes. Most people think, bookkeeping's easy. Just got to put the stuff in there. Oh, have you considered you got to take out the GST? Did you consider that some things have GST and some things don't? That's just one thing. I could tell you 10 different things that you go, oh, bookkeeping's harder than I thought. So there's a learning curve along with that. And that's now we get into the drawbacks, is the time you would take to learn the bookkeeping if you don't know it, and the time you take to do the bookkeeping, obviously, could be used for making sales or doing other things in your business, making money, for example. And the learning curve is very steep. Not only does it take time, but it's quite steep. So you want to make sure you have support, training, whatever it takes. Don't think that the QuickBooks commercial that says, hey, you can do it yourself, just get our QuickBooks online. No, that's garbage. I'm sorry. You can't just take their software and do it yourself, because if you just take their software and let everything do itself, it will be a mess come tax time, okay? So you got to learn, make sure you follow that process. And probably the biggest downfall of doing it yourself is if you make mistakes and you create a mess, because it's more money and more work to fix your mess than it is to take it and do it from scratch again, okay? So that's the goods, the bads of doing bookkeeping yourself. And remember, you could always start doing it yourself, get a handle on it, and then decide after maybe you want to pass it off. Especially while things are small, it's a good time to do it. If you got any questions, we'd love to hear from you as always. Thanks for being a part of Katie's Business Tips, and we'll see you in the next video.